Well, anybody following the lovely Tegan and Sarah on Twitter would know that these girls have a love affair with Australia, and we love them back just as much. Girls, welcome to, MOG, BPM. It's great to have you backstage here.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Now, I have to ask you, you do seem to love Australia so much. Tell us why. What is it about this country that kind of resonates so much with you both?
I think this was the first market and first country after Canada, where we're from, that really seemed to get us. And we started coming here in 2003.
Wow.
And we have family here, and we just have friends here. And I think that we just every record cycle, we come at least twice. And we just have, I guess it's like one of our biggest fan bases internationally, and we just love it. Yeah.
You played the Sydney Opera House last night. Talk us through that. What was the experience like?
Yeah, the Sydney Opera House was really amazing. I mean, it's the kind of venue that, you just know about before you even get to Sydney. It's just, obviously, it's seen as such a, it's an icon. It's an iconic site. It's an incredible building, and the history of it is so interesting. And every time we come to Sydney, we go and get our photo taken outside of it. And I was saying last night that I have a whole series of me standing in front of the Sydney Opera House with random people, my mom, my aunt, a band that opened for us. Just every year we go there and we take our photos. So it was really amazing. It was wonderful to finally get inside of the Sydney Opera House and actually play. So we had two really amazing shows there, and the audience was really wonderful. And I think it was a really special night for everybody. We got to tell lots of stories because everybody seemed really nervous. All the young people seemed nervous to be in such a nice venue, so everyone stayed seated. We kept being like, you can totally stand up, and everyone was like, eh. So finally when we played our song Closer, everybody jumped up and started dancing, and that was pretty cool. So it was really great. Yeah.
So aside from the Opera House, are there other places in Australia that you come to every time you visit?
Well, we always go to the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary outside of Brisbane.
Yeah,
that's
right.
our big
It's
thing.
very touristy.
That's our go-to. And we love it. This is truly a country where we behave as tourists. Usually on tour, you play your show, you go to the hotel, maybe you have dinner nearby the venue, but when we come to Australia, we build in extra days and days off, and we rent vans, and we take everybody out to see the sights, and it's awesome.
Still is all we did. Love like ours is never fixed.
We should talk about your new record, Heartthrob, because, well, first of all, congratulations. It's done so well for you. I think it was your highest debuting record so far. And interestingly, it's a bit of a sonic evolution for you as well, yeah?
Yeah, we wanted to do something that was a little bit unexpected for our band, and we've always sort of been more in a niche kind of alternative world, and we sort of wanted to do a Tegan and Sarah take on pop music. We didn't want to necessarily, be a pop band, but we wanted to sort of make a record that could, I guess, compete in that world, with people like Alicia Keys and Beyonce and Katy Perry. I don't think we can really compete with those people, but we can try, and so we still wrote the same way we always write, but we did sonically try to make something that was more pop,
So did it surprise you, or is it still surprising you, how well it's been received and how well it's doing?
We were fairly certain that people would like it.
Yeah, I don't think that we
were going into it being like, oh, people like it. I think if we'd made a metal record, I would have been more nervous.
Honestly, the record it's quintessential Tegan and Sarah. It's really emotional pop songs. The production is much bigger than we usually apply to our records, but I think that's just speaks volumes about what's happening in music right now. A lot of indie acts, a lot of the scene is merging those two very popular musical sides of where people are at right now, and I think that we just kind of jumped in there. We're 80s kids, we love pop music, and I think our fans are embracing it. There's the usual the grumpies, I call them, that sit around on message boards and are like, I wish they were still acoustic, and it's like, it's not 1999.
Yes.
Funny you should say that. The band that's playing right now, Regurgitator, have a song on their second album called I Like Your Old Stuff Better Than Your New Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
we all suffer that.
There's always going to be people. Even if we made the exact record that one grumpy person wanted, then a whole other legion of people would be annoyed. So you got to follow your heart. You got to make music that makes you happy. And Sarah and I consistently make records that seem to really help grow our audience. And as Sarah was saying, we didn't want to necessarily compete with what's going on in radio, but I wanted to help change the landscape. I wanted to see something like me reflected in the mainstream, and I think that this is the best time to do that, and Sarah and I are ready to do that, so here we are.
I was a fool for love. I was a fool for love. I was a fool.
on the album, on Heartthrob, what song are you most proud of or is the most kind of meaningful to you, and why?
Oh my God, it's really hard. Like when you make the record, you kind of love them all and you obsess over all of them. Right now, because we've just started playing everything live, I'm really enjoying playing one of my songs called Shock to Your System, which I think is, it's just one of those songs that sort of, it sounds great on the record, but it really comes alive when there's a huge audience, you know, and the speakers and the drums, and it's like you really can feel it becoming a bigger song. So, and I mean, I think that closer to, like Tegan said, you know, last night, that song starts and the whole audience, it's like you can feel it right to the back of the room. It's really translating well. So I think, you know, we're both feeling really excited about a lot of the songs on the record.
And from a live point of view, obviously because it's a bit of an evolution sonically, how much has that had to change your production when it comes to a live show?
Lots.
Yeah, we had to really step it up with Heartthrob, and we were excited to do that. That's partly why we made the record we did, was we had gotten to a point where we were starting to play really big venues, you know, like playing to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in some cases, and it was like, well, we're not just going to show up there with an acoustic guitar, you know, we got to really step it up. So you know, we expanded our band and we built a big backdrop and we made all these projections and hired a really amazing sound and lighting, you know, team, and it's really exciting, and I think it's allowing
it's a
Sarah
good
and I
show.
to be better front women, and you know, like we've really developed our voices and our abilities on stage, and if anything, it's actually allowed us to create more intimacy with our audience too, because the stage doesn't feel so cavernous, it feels really intimate, and Sarah and I are able to pass off. We play a lot of piano and keyboards on our records, and instead we've hired someone to do a lot of our parts, so it's allowed us to take down that wall between us and the audience and really just sing to them, and so I think it's really stepped up, but it was a lot of work, a lot of rehearsing, and a lot of like painful nights laying in bed being like, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, my voice isn't strong enough, you know, so.
You're also very, speaking of a live show, renowned and loved for your onstage banter. Has that always been the case for you guys?
We just, I mean this so sincerely. We just didn't have a lot of material when we first started touring, and so we just had to fill time, you know. The promoter would book you for an hour and a half. We'd have like 30 minutes of music, so we would just kill time by talking to one another or talking to the audience. And it's just become sort of a natural, it sort of is actually like a defense mechanism to kind of burn off nervous energy. Sure. You know, even now, like I mean, a million years later, I still feel like I can calm myself down if I'm feeling like the show, like I haven't got my like sea legs yet. If I get out on stage and I'm feeling nervous, the second I start talking to the audience or talking to Tegan to the audience, I'll immediately feel myself get control over what I'm doing. And I think it's a wonderful defense mechanism for us to protect ourselves, sort of insulate ourselves from some of the jitters that happen when you're in front of a big crowd. So I'm glad that people like it, and thank goodness we're okay. I think we're good at it. You know, we're a natural conversationalist, you know, we are okay. But if we didn't have that, oh my God, we would have had to get really down to business and start writing more music. I mean, we really did not have enough to fill a show for a long time.
I'm always interested in the creative process of any band. Do you guys write songs individually, or do you collaborate, or a bit of both? How's it work?
Over most of our career, we actually wrote almost like probably 95% of our material independently of each other. So Sarah would write a song like Back in Your Head, for instance, and send it to me in demo form, and I might make a few suggestions, but generally we didn't collaborate till we got to the studio. But we started collaborating with other artists about 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of dance artists like Tiesto and David Guetta and Morgan Page, and in working with other artists, we realized how well we collaborate with each other, which seems crazy to say because we've been in a band for 15 years, but we really did not ever think to collaborate with one another on a writing level. Like, we collaborate in other ways, but, you know, like she sings on my songs, or Sarah would say, oh, this guitar part or this piano part, but we never had sat down and written together. So with Heartthrob, we actually co-wrote on over half the material, and some of it's just small stuff. Like Sarah made a suggestion about Closer and was like, I think we need to change the chorus, and ended up coming up with a really, you know, awesome set of words that I was able to set to the melody I had in mind. So it was small things, but it really has made, I think, our most cohesive and I think our strongest record, because we we joined forces. We're now like the biggest transformer ever. Like we were two little transformers, and now we're like a big transformer. So
Twice the size.
twice the size, yeah.
So you guys have played a million festivals, maybe?
1,000,001.
Yeah, definitely it's a million.
What are your top tips for having a great time at a music festival for the audiences out there?
Don't hang out in a stable where there's poop and flies all the time on you. Get out into the open.
That's a great tip.
I actually think that that's close to what I was going to say, which is that you have to sort of, if you're uptight in any way, like you're not going to survive. Like you sort of have to like go with the flow, and you know, we call it like camping. You know, we're just sort of like, you have to like the niceties of like touring indoors go away, and you just sort of have to sort of like, you know, have a thicker skin and be a bit versatile and have to go with the flow. You know, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's the middle of the day and it's 45 degrees, you know, like I think you just have to be willing to like roll with the punches. The crowd is just there to have a good time, and just sort of like laugh it off and have a good time. Yeah.
Any, Hamish has been asking all of the bands this afternoon, any kind of rituals that you do pre-show?
We don't have a ton of ritual. Like, we do warm up because this is a bigger record for us. In the past, we haven't sung as much on each other's songs, so I had a break. You know, half the set Sarah was singing, and I just had to throw in a few melodies. But now we sing almost the entire set together. So we play songs, but the band has gotten involved, which has made it feel less like homework and made it feel more like fun. Like, they sing all the guitar and keyboard parts on their vocals, or they sing Sarah's background vocals when she's warming up in the other room. So that's our big thing right now. Just a half an hour of solid time with the band, just kind of connecting and getting ready for the show and looking at the set list and just kind of getting in the headspace. Because you do a lot of other things like interviews and hanging out with friends and eating and driving and reading. You do all these other things all day, and then when you get on stage, you really got to get yourself in that headspace before you get out there.
That is the most professional answer we've
I
heard
agree.
all day. Everyone else is like, drink beer.
We drink beer, I mean.
And that's why we still look like we're in our early 20s. Is
And
because,
they do, yeah.
because we do not party. We just go into these, we actually go into like these time compression chambers, and we just, it sucks all of
We're too hard on
the
our-
pollution out of our pores.
I wish we could. I mean, I look at bands sometimes, and I'm not all the time, but sometimes I am envious of these bands that look like they're just having an amazing time and drinking and getting up on stage kind of drunk, and we're too hard on ourselves. And even our band, they're all perfectionists. We performed at the Sydney Opera House and did a live stream, and they all got up this morning and watched it and wrote notes for themselves on their performance. So
Wow,
I feel like if I got up there and was like, woo, just having a good time, they would be like, you are an embarrassment, Tegan. You know, so.
So after the Groovin The Moo festival wraps up and you guys kind of leave Australia, what's coming up next for you?
Tour. We're going to Singapore and Indonesia, Europe, and then we're doing a tour all summer with the band Fun in North America.
That sounds like it will be fun.
It
be
will
great.
be fun. Yeah, so we're just touring the heck out of the record. That's what we're doing.
Have you guys played in Asia before?
No.
No. Well, we haven't. We've like flown through places before, but we only really like the only touring outside of like Europe and Australia and North America that we've done is India, which was just a couple of shows and sort of more of like a.
I wouldn't even count them as shows. It was
Well-
like we showed up and we were like, surprise, we're playing some shows and we're going to hang out here for a week.
It was a life lesson, and it was
It
exciting.
wasn't
It was
real
really
touring.
interesting.
We're really excited.
We're just
One of
dipping
our
our toe in
goals
right
was to discover some new territories, and we went to Mexico City last year, and going to Singapore and Jakarta is our first time really getting outside of our comfort zone, and I'm really excited. I mean, we have so many fans that reach out to us all the time from all these amazing places. Next, I would love to, like, we've been having a lot of action in Russia and like Malaysia, like all these fans like coming out like out of the woodwork, just being like, please come and see us. So, you know, that's part of what's great about our job, you know, going new places and experiencing new audiences and different cultures, and it's gonna be great.
You could be touring for a long time if you keep exploring new territories.
That's true. We can tour forever. We will draw a
We'll set
line
some
at some
limits,
point.
yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
girls, it's been absolutely lovely having you both here.
Thank
Great.
you, guys.
You know, good luck with the show tonight and for the rest of the tour.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
talking to us.
Thank you. Get out of this barn stable thing. Free yourselves.
Can you come a little closer?